Welcome back to Basement Math Lab, and today we are going to be learning about the sine law. Now, what is the sine law? Well, it's this right here. End of video. No, I'm just kidding. That's not the end of the video. I bet I had you fooled there. No, but the sine law is something that you can use for things that are obtuse triangles, acute triangles, but you can't use them for right triangles. So you can use things like SOHCAHTOA for right triangles, but sine law and the next video, cosine law, are only for scalene triangles and not right angle triangles. And so we have this triangle here. And as you can see, it is a scalene triangle, and it is something that I just drew randomly. But the values are not random. And so, first thing we have to understand is sine A over A. What does this mean? So, for the purposes of this, I mean, things like sine A over A, this could be sine X over X, or sine Y over Y. It could be any letter, but this is the general idea. So sine A would be this angle right here. That's the A that we're talking about, right? These two are the same thing, disregarding the sine. So these A's are the same thing. And now this A represents the side that is opposite to that angle. And if you know about opposite sides and you watched the previous video about SOHCAHTOA, you will know that this is the side A. It is opposite to A. And now we can do the same thing for this. We have C. This C is the same as this one. And so the opposite side over here would be C. And for B, it would be this side. Now, this works a little bit differently, and in the way that you have to kind of derive the equation. Now, let's say we want to solve for, I don't know, anything. Let's say we want to solve for B, okay? Now, for any possible triangle, if you want to use the sine law, or I think any law really, you have to, well, at least for sine law, you have to have 3 pieces of information, but at least one of them needs to be an angle. So 3 bits of info, 1 angle, and 1 letter pair. Now, what does it mean, 1 letter pair? Well, you see, you have this big A and this little a. These two are a pair. This A and this little a. So that is a letter pair. This B and this B are also a pair. This C and this C are also a pair. And you can't do this if you have 3 sides, because that's just something different. If you have 3 sides, then you definitely don't have any pairs. Like things that would be like this. And you can't do it, and you need 3 bits of information because you need at least 1 side. If you know all the angles, it doesn't matter because the sides could all be different, right? And so for this letter pair, we actually don't have a letter pair in here technically, because this would pair with this, but this A doesn't have a value. This B would pair with this B, but this B doesn't have a value. And this C would pair with this C, but this C doesn't have a value. So we technically have no pairs, but we can make one because of our knowledge with a triangle. Now we know that every single triangle has 180 total degrees. All of its angles added together are 180 degrees. Now we can subtract 48 degrees, which is this angle, and then we can subtract again 25 degrees, which is this angle. And altogether, you can just punch it into your calculator if you're too lazy to figure it out on your own, which I am about to do. 180 minus 48 minus 25 gives you 107 degrees. So now we actually know the value of this A. It's 107 degrees. So now we have this letter pair, and we can apply the sine law. So I'll just move over to the next screen. So here we have part of the sine law that you saw over here, but without sine C, because we don't really need C, we're not solving for C. So we're going to be taking this B and this B, because we're solving for this B, and we're going to be taking the A and the A. Now, but before we do anything, we have to realize what we have to separate and what we have to isolate on its own, So we have to isolate this B. And how we do it, we do a kind of cross-multiplication variation. So cross-multiplication would be multiplying these and then multiplying these. But it's kind of like that, but not really. So you see where this B is. It will be B, and it will equal a fraction. And this fraction is determined by the cross-multiplication. So this pair, the A and the sine B, will be put together and multiplied. So you'll have A times sine B. Right? The pair that is opposite from the one where you have the value that you want to find. And then as the denominator and the number underneath, you will have sine A, because that is this number, right? So you take the opposite pair from the one that has your variable, you put that at the top, and then the pair that has your variable, the number that's not your variable, goes at the bottom, just like this. And now we can substitute in the values, which I will do.